Ladies and gentlemen, earlier this year, we endeavored to build the country's largest automotive consumer survey to understand consumer behavior and their preferences, particularly against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Indian Automotive Consumer Canvas, IACC, garnered over 200,000 responses, making it by quite a margin India's largest ever consumer survey in the automotive space. Frost and Sullivan and Kaushik in particular helped us validate that survey then. And around the middle of this year, Kaushik and I, we once again discussed and curated another survey to understand safety behavior of Indian consumers and their perception about vehicle security. This survey too received over 65,000 responses across all our group platforms, including Carvale, CarTrade, BikeVale, and of course, Mobility Outlook. And now we are all set to reveal this study to you and the findings from the survey. If you do have questions, please do share that using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens. Kaushik, welcome, and let's get ahead with the release of the report.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Deepangshu. First of all, a huge thanks to you for inviting me to this. It's an absolute privilege and honor to share the virtual stage with Prashant and Sheshu. Prashant spoke about some very, very interesting things. One particular thing I loved what he said is user experience is the new horsepower, right? I mean, for a petrol head like me, that is not good news, but nevertheless, that is the way the industry is heading, and that is the way we should be looking at. Sheshu, what can I say? I first met Sheshu 15 or 16 years ago, through a common colleague, and every time I interact, I mean, over the past 15, 16 years, I've interacted with Sheshu multiple times, and every time there is an interaction, I come back richer with knowledge, right? That is the wealth of knowledge he brings. And I must say, there are about 130 participants today. And I must tell you, we all must consider ourselves very lucky because today we got a free masterclass on safety and security. So thanks once again, Deepangshu, for this. It's an absolute privilege and honor to be interacting with Sheshu at any given point in time. So coming back to our survey, Deepangshu, you rightly mentioned we started this last year, and the response was overwhelming. And even this time for safety and security, some of the findings that we have seen is very, very interesting. From multiple angles in terms of how people perceive and understand safety technologies and what does it mean to them, right? Most importantly, it is at the end of the day, people are going to pay their hard-earned money to buy a vehicle with enhanced safety technologies and safety features and so on. So let's look at how people perceive and think about safety technologies and safety features. Maybe I'll stop my video just to save some bandwidth. I'll come back on video again after my presentation. So needless to say, the topics in question are very, very important and relevant to the automotive industry in India today. So this is the right time to understand, what people think, especially in the context, which Prashant also rightly mentioned, with the new regulations, safety regulations coming in, and with the government, very, very keen on introducing and mandating in many ways certain basic safety features and technologies in the Indian vehicles. So let's look at, how the people have shared their responses in terms of what they think. So like you rightly mentioned, the idea was to understand perceptions that is going to impact vehicle purchasing behavior, right? Prashant again also mentioned there are new business models coming in, right, with subscription, short-term leasing, short-term rentals, which is actually moving from your traditional ownership-based models to usership-based models, right? So that transition from ownership to usership-based business models will have a significant impact on how the vehicle architecture itself will evolve over a period of time. Now, in terms of coverage, ladies and gentlemen, as Deepangshu mentioned, we received over 250,000 responses, right? And we compiled, all the relevant ones, all the completed ones, and we still ended up with a fairly significant number of about 5,000 responses, which I believe in statistical terms is really, really very good. So a good mix between different age groups, male and female respondents, and also in terms of coverage from metros and non-metros, tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. Of course, we always looked at all kinds of vehicle ownership: two-wheelers, motorcycles, scooters, and passenger cars. So let me first take you briefly through some of the survey findings on safety, right? So this is basically about profiling. We had a fairly good mix between age groups. Like I said, about 50% owned a motorcycle and about 45% owned a car, 24% scooter. Keep in mind, this doesn't necessarily add up to 100, because there could be respondents who owned multiple vehicles, right? Let's start with something very interesting. So the intent to purchase a vehicle, this is something every OEM wants to know, right? 83% of the respondents said they are looking to purchase a vehicle in the next 12 months, which is good news considering the slowdown that we have seen over the past 12 to 18 months. This is definitely something that the OEMs will be happy about, considering the fact that going forward, people are willing to buy or purchase a vehicle, right? Now, this is an interesting slide. What is the kind of vehicle you would like to purchase? We asked. No surprises there. When there are about 85% of the 84 to 85% of the respondents said they would like to purchase either a new two-wheeler or a new car. But what's interesting is 16% of the respondents said they are willing to purchase used vehicles. 16% is a very significant number if you keep in mind the growth of pre-owned vehicles in the Indian market. Now we asked them, why would you want to purchase a pre-owned or a used vehicle? If you see on the right side, value for money was right on top, right? So people believe that a pre-owned vehicle or a used vehicle will actually give them a good value for money instead of purchasing a new vehicle. And needless to say, good deals from used car dealers, could be independent, could be OEM owned, is also driving people to invest in pre-owned vehicles. What is also very important is the availability of relatively new vehicles, which are just about 1, 2, 3 years old, which are still within their OEM warranty, are today available in the pre-owned market. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, or maybe even 20 years ago, you would have never seen a car with an OE warranty available for purchase in the pre-owned or a used car market. That is changing. So we are seeing more and more newer generation vehicles being available in the pre-owned car market, which is making it very attractive. Now we wanted to understand a little bit about budget, right? How much are people going to spend? This is something of concern. About 30% of the respondents said that their budget has reduced by up to 50%, right? 18% said it has reduced by up to 20%, and 12% said it is reduced by up to 15%. So clearly, the financial consideration, is becoming more and more important because of a variety of reasons. Could be health related over the past 12 to 18 months, could be job related. A lot of people had job losses. They took salary cuts. So the budget has reduced. 30% of the respondents said their budget has reduced by half, right? Or by up to half. So clearly, this is going to also drive the pre-owned vehicle business, right? As we are seeing more and more new vehicles, the used car market, used vehicle market is also being driven by budget allocations and budget considerations. Now, we wanted to understand the preferred type of ownership. 74% said they would purchase, they would go for a normal purchase at the dealership. That's not interesting. What's interesting is the remaining 26%, right? Again, which is a significant number considering India is an emerging market, were respondents who said they are open to new business models, right? New ownership models. Like I said, short-term leasing, long-term leasing, subscription services, right? So that again is great news. I think Prashant also touched upon this, in his talk, that new business models which are driving, ownership and vehicle usage and usership models are actually going to also drive the demand and penetration of new technologies, including safety and security. So this is something that's very, very positive, the way I look at it. that new usership based business models where you don't have to worry about insurance, service, maintenance, except fuel, everything else is taken care of. So I think that is the kind of models we are looking at as well. Now, awareness of safety rating and what does it mean, right? So 73%, if you look at the pie chart on the left, 73% said they are aware of safety ratings. Although I must say that about 23 to 20, 26 to 27% said they're either not aware or they have heard of it somewhere but not fully aware in what it means. So that is an area of concern, right? So that means we need to work a little more towards improving awareness, communication, right? Marketing. How do you improve education of awareness and awareness of safety technologies among consumers, right? If you look at the right bar graph, we asked, what does safety rating mean to you, right? Which is positive. 60% of the 62% of the respondents said more safety features in the vehicle. Better safety rating means more safety features, right? And 57%, which is great, in my opinion, said it's better protection for occupants. If you go back to what Sheshu mentioned, he beautifully explained, a pre-crash, at crash, and post-crash, right? So everything revolves around safety and protection for occupants, for pedestrians as well, going forward, pedestrians as well. So people do understand that a better safety rating means better protection, which is a great first step, right? So the first hurdle has been crossed. So people understand what it basically means, that is better safety features, better protection. But is that sufficient? No, I would say, right? So this is a question we ask, right? Safety rating of a used vehicle versus a new vehicle. 45% said, they would consider a new vehicle if it had a better safety rating. Great. But 38%, which is a great cause of concern, is they said they feel a new vehicle will always be better. So what does that mean? So people think a newer vehicle will be a better vehicle. So that means there is a disconnect between the safety rating of a vehicle and whether it is a new or an old vehicle. There could very well be we all know that there could very well be a possibility that even if it is an older vehicle, let's say 2 or 3 years old, with a 5-star safety rating, that is going to be much, much better than a new vehicle which has a 3 or a 4-star safety rating, right? But in people's minds, it's disconnected. People feel that a new vehicle is better, an old vehicle is not always better. So I think that again is all about perception, right? How do we improve that? How do we improve through communication that new or old is lesser relevant, but more relevant is what the safety rating of the vehicle is. So that communication needs to be very, very strong. Now, awareness of safety features. No surprises there, where the top two were ABS and airbags, right? Everybody knows, because that's what has been talked about for many, many years now. What for me was personally very, very good to know that 50% of the respondents said they are aware of ESP. Prashant spoke about ESP a few minutes ago, right? So I'm very happy to know that 50% said they are aware of ESP. 40% of the people said they understand, or at least they are aware of rollover mitigation. That is even brilliant news, right? So going forward, we will see, especially in a country like India, which is very, very interested or very happy about compact SUVs, right? Compact SUV segment in India is the fastest growing segment in India. So rollover mitigation, typically for vehicles with a higher center of gravity, is going to be very, very relevant for a emerging market like India. And interestingly, with child safety becoming more important, you must have seen the news yesterday. Mahindra XUV 700 scored a perfect 5-star in its global NCAP crash testing, right? And it got 4-star in a child protection system, which is great news for us, right? It's very important that a homegrown OEM, in the Indian OEM, scored a 5-star rating in the latest model SUV, no less, which also comes with very, very good advanced child protection equipment as well. So I think that is definitely some positive news to look at. Again, something not very, very positive here. We asked them, what are the kind of safety features in your current vehicle? That is the left bar graph. 32% of the people said, I'm not sure. So almost 1/3 are not aware of what safety features their vehicle has, right? Clearly indicates that there is a big gap in terms of creating awareness, communication. How do you take the message out and across to the consumers to make them understand it is important to know what the safety ratings are? What is even more alarming is the bar graph on the right. I'm happy to see that it's at the bottom, which is good news, but that 16% should be, just 2 or 3 or 4%. Those are the people who said, I'm not particular about safety features. Now that perception has to change, right? Unfortunately, India is a country where the population, where the vehicle driving or a vehicle using population always thinks accidents happen to others, right? Accidents happen to somebody else. That has to change, right? So the perception that, I'm not particular about safety features has to go, right? Because, an accident is not the result of your own driving only. It is a multitude of factors that, result in an accident. So we need to be very careful and ensure that as long as our budgets, allow, we must buy the best safety rated vehicle in our budget. I'm not, asking people to, increase your budget by 2x or 1.5x, but whatever is your budget, always make sure you buy the best vehicle which has the best safety rating within your budget. And that is the way we need to start thinking. Now, this is again something very positive, about 3/4, over 75% of the respondents said they would consider a 4 or a 5-star rated vehicle for their next vehicle purchase. Definitely positive news for the OEMs to look at. Budget consideration, vehicle with better safety rating. Only 58% said they would buy a vehicle with better safety rating, right? If they want to, let's say, stretch their budget a little bit, that has to increase. 17% said no. They are not willing to stretch their budget, right? But that's okay. If you're able to at least buy within your budget the best safety rated vehicle, that is even good. So I think this is again something that's got to do with, making safety standard, making technology standard that is going to help save lives of people. Now this, for me as an engineer, as an automotive enthusiast, is very, very disappointing, right? So we asked them, what are the reasons for you not wanting to stretch your budget for safety, right? You look at the ones marked in red, right? People said, I drive only in city limits and not on highways, so I don't need safety features. A huge mistake, right? Because accidents can happen even in the city. We have seen, through, global NCAP and safety crash tests videos, that accidents at speeds as low as 35, 40 kilometers per hour can be fatal, right? So it's a big misconception that if you drive within the city limits, you don't need safety technologies. No, we need to change that perception. The next one, I don't see value, which is an 18% bar there. I don't see value in paying extra for safety features. Like somebody said, I'd rather have a safety feature and not need it than need a safety feature and not have it, right? So that value association with a safety feature needs to be thought of in the long term. You will use an airbag only once, right? But it is going to save your life, right? An airbag, like I said, has to be used only once, but that could be the difference between your life and death. And the third one, which is a very, very Indian mindset, again, very, very typical Indian mindset, the 16% bar. I am a safe and cautious driver. I don't need safety features, right? It's not about your driving capability or your driving knowledge. It's about others. You could be in an accident because of somebody else's fault, right? So we need to be prepared for that as well. It's a mindset that needs to change. And safety features are not used in everyday driving. That's really good, because let us be in a situation where we don't need to use the safety features. I want to be in a situation where I don't have to use the airbag, where the automatic collision, automatic emergency bracing doesn't have to kick in my driving conditions. It's great that we don't have to use it, but it's very important that it is there in your vehicle, to prevent fatalities and accidents in case they are called upon. So these were some of the findings. There are definitely some positive things out there, but there are also some very, very alarming things, which again is a result of a combination of our mindset, right? Our perceptions and attitudes towards driving, towards civic sense, towards other road users, and also a big role in communication, right? Awareness, education, in terms of how do we get the message across to people. So now let's take a look at the second half, which is security, right? We did a similar survey again to understand security too. So I'm going to skip the slide on customer profiling. We did that. Awareness, this is again interesting. 70% said they are aware about security risk and features in vehicles, but again a significant number, about 30%, said they are not aware, or they've heard but they're not fully aware. Again, we need to change that perception, right? We asked them, what are the security features in your vehicles? We had a fairly long list, but what came out on top are your alarms, immobilizers, remote tracking, keyless entry, protection, glazing, and so on. So typically, as you can see, a majority of the security features, are very elementary that people are aware of, right? Which is fair, right? I mean, the pace of advancement in security, like Prashant mentioned, has been so immense that it's difficult to keep track, especially for a layman, for a common man, in terms of how security technologies have evolved. But nevertheless, we need to, make sure we make as many security features standard in the vehicle. Would you pay for enhanced security in your vehicle? 78% said yes, which is great news. 22% said no, I would not. Maybe we need to reduce that as well. Now, in terms of people who said yes, they said the reasons would be it would minimize the risk of theft, which is perfect. Better protection for occupants, absolutely spot on. And again, something very, very Indian, which is enhanced resale value, right? I mean, probably India is the only country, in the world where the consumers actually think about resale value even before buying a vehicle, right? Even before buying and using it, they're already thinking about selling it later on. So I think that again is a mindset related thing, which is good. If they feel that it enhances the resale value, it will make good sense to introduce some of the safety and security features as well. Now, budget allocation. This was something, good, something positive, I would say. If you look at the green bar on the right, about 800, 900 respondents, close to 1/3 of the respondents said they would be willing to spend over 30,000, some said even over 40,000 rupees for enhanced safety features, which is good because, there is willingness to spend money for enhanced safety and security, which obviously the OEM should leverage, number one. And number two, use it as a tool or a platform to improve awareness and perceptions as well. Now, again, this is something very disappointing for me because it's marked in red. Reasons for not stretching your budget for extra security, right? Again, I don't see value in paying extra for security features. Like Prashant couldn't have said it better, right? Is absolutely spot on when he said, your car is as good. I think even Sheshu mentioned it, your car is as good till it is hacked, right? So you only need your vehicle to be hacked once or stolen once. That's it, right? And you've lost everything. So the value associated with paying extra for safety features needs to change. The value should just not be monetary, because people today think it's just a monetary component, right? They do not understand the value associated with the security of your data, your personal belongings, your occupants, your family. A lot of non-monetary component associated with security is often overlooked, right? And that perception has to change. A few people said, I ensure my vehicle's security in my own way. I don't know what that means. Whether people think that if I have a good parking spot, a safe and secure parking spot, my vehicle is safe, right? If I have a lock on the vehicle, if I have an immobilizer, a remote keyless entry or a remote security, my vehicle is safe. So again, got to do with perception, which needs to change. My daily driving is limited. Again, something very, very Indian. People feel that I don't use the vehicle much, so I don't need to pay for security. People don't realize that your vehicle can be hacked even when the vehicle is not in use, right? So whether the vehicle is moving or stationary, it can still be hacked. It can still be stolen. So usage has got nothing to do with security, but in people's minds, they are connecting to completely unrelated factors, right? Usage versus security. And 20% said, I'm already paying for the vehicle's insurance. So what does that mean? So people feel that it's okay, even if my vehicle gets stolen, I'm going to get covered by insurance, right? So I'm going to get the money back. So again, it's a monetary, associating security with a monetary component only, right? So people do not understand the non-monetary impact of having better security in the vehicle, which needs to be changed only through awareness and education. Now, probably the last slide before I hand over back to Deepangshu for a few questions. So I'm very happy to see that Tata and Maruti, stand right up there in people's minds when it comes to OEMs that offer maximum security features. Please keep in mind, these are not based on the actual number of safety features that are present in the vehicle. This is not a benchmarking of technologies. This is just people's perceptions, right? People think that Tata and Maruti offer maximum security features, right? Honda comes next, Hyundai comes, fourth. Then you've got the premium OEMs, the BMWs, Mercedes, Land Rovers, and so on. Again, it is got to do with perception, right? How do the OEMs communicate their messaging related to security, related to safety? I mean, there is a reason why Tata is on top. I mean, if you have seen their TV advertisements over the past few months, they have been very vocal in talking about safety ratings, and you see the result here. So there is a direct correlation between awareness campaigns, talking about global safety ratings, global NCAP ratings, 4-star, 5-star ratings, and people associate that with security, right? Right? That is the result, right? All the investments that Tata Motors has done in marketing campaigns, TV campaigns, ad campaigns, newspaper campaigns is bearing fruit, is bearing result. So very clearly, this is the way to go. You need to tell people that, hey, my car has the best star rating, best safety rating. It has A, B, C, D, E technologies that is going to help you in case of an accident, that is going to save your life in case of an accident. And the result is here to see. A lot of OEMs think that, okay, what kind of tangible benefits do I see if I spend on marketing? Probably Deepangshu, we need to show them this slide. So, so with that, I come to the end of my talk, but couple of points that we need to keep in mind, especially considering the Indian context. Of course, it is very important that we introduce, regulations that make certain technologies mandatory going forward, in order to create a level playing field for all the OEMs who don't have to be forced to sell vehicles, without safety features simply because, it gives them the opportunity to price them lower, right? That needs to be done away with. Number two, take a cue from Tata Motors, right? See what they have done in terms of their marketing and advertisement campaigns and spend money because the results are there to see. See this, people feel that Tata has the maximum security and safety features. So spending on awareness, educational campaigns to make people understand the benefits of safety features, security features in their vehicles is going to go a long way in making people understand the benefits or the advantages of having these features in their vehicles. So with that, I'm going to conclude. Deepangshu, over to you. Happy to take questions. Any feedback. I know Prashant has stepped out. I see Sheshu still on. In case he had the opportunity to see this, I'd be happy to hear his feedback as well. But Deepangshu, over to you.
Thank you, Kaushik, for that. I mean, clearly, like you very rightly said, the whole objective of doing this survey and looking at safety and security in two different buckets was to understand the customer perception. What is safety in a consumer's mind, right? What do they think about it? And what is security in their mind? What is the level of understanding? And is there insights that we can derive out of the findings? That is what the whole objective of undertaking this survey was. So Kaushik, I also at this point would like to invite questions for Kaushik. If anyone wants to understand anything, ask him anything about the findings, please feel free to drop in your questions. We can take a couple of questions. But Kaushik, if you have to summarize, if you have to sum up, let's say look at safety and security as two distinct buckets, what are the key takeaways? What are the key understandings as far as you are concerned that you've got from this?
Yeah. So although, you're right, we, technically safety and security are two different buckets, but there's a lot of synergies between the two,
Correct.
Especially going back to the point Sheshu made earlier, there is a convergence when we talk about active safety, passive safety, pre-crash, at crash, and post-crash, right? So so the boundaries between security and safety are blurring, they are coming together.
Right.
Now, there are multiple angles to it. The most important or the most fundamental one is regulation, right? How do we ensure that there are regulations in place? When I say regulations, I'm talking from multiple angles here as well. Communication, sensor technologies, sensor fusion, allotting, airspace, for communication, right? So this is very important that we look at a very comprehensive set of regulations that is going to make it viable for OEMs to start introducing affordable technologies. The second pillar is about architecture, vehicle architecture, right? I know both Sheshu and Prashant spoke about that. Today, we are moving towards skateboard or platforms, right? Skateboard, electric e-mobility platforms and architecture. So how do we integrate the security layer and safety layer on a commoditized platform, right? When we talk about skateboard platforms, the electric motors, the batteries, battery management systems, power electronics are going to become commodities going forward. How do we integrate a safety layer and security layer on a commodity platform? That is going to be critical when we make autonomous vehicles or semi-autonomous vehicles, level 3 and above, relevant to an emerging market like India. The third pillar is about customer awareness and perception. So these three pillars, I think, are very, very important, and there should be equal emphasis placed on each one of these. It's never one over the other. There is no priority. All three have to be given equal amount of importance.
Right. I don't have a question, but I've received a comment from Mr. Balraj Bhanot, former director of ARAI. Of course, he says safety measures are mandatory, not optional in India, but star rating is optional.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? A star rating is a consequence of the safety measures, right? A star rating itself is not a technology, right? Star rating is just a tool to communicate what is the result of safety measures or safety technology in the vehicle. But that is a tool that we need to use to communicate with people, right? So on the one hand, you've got the technologies which probably the layman does not understand, but at the same time, you need a rating, star rating, to let people know that this is what you're buying, this is what your vehicle has. I think both of them have to coexist.
Right. Another comment, Kaushik, very interesting. Prasanna Kantal, he says, if people think Maruti provides most safety features, which is close to Tata, this means most people do not know about safety. A lot of groundwork needs to be done to increase the safety awareness. And that is precisely the point that Kaushik and we are trying to make as well, that there is a huge need, emphasis that needs to be put on educating customers, on making them aware about safety and security in vehicles. And Prasanna, there are no two views on what you have said. We are totally agree with you.
Yeah, I completely agree with him as well. I mean, like I said before, apart from Tata Motors, I cannot think of any other OEM in India, either through TV ads or media campaigns or whatever it is, that talk about safety technologies and features, right? And that is what we need to change. We need to spend and invest more in improving awareness and education, in terms of safety technologies.
One final question that I'll take, Kaushik, is from Priyanka L. She wants to know, I just want to ask with regard to safety of a car body structure, would it be an advantage if one designs a car body just by CAD CAM and get a 3D print, or by going old school and get a clay model done? So she essentially wants to know clay model versus a 3D simulated.
Yeah, I mean, from my very, very limited understanding, clay models haven't really been really useful in crash testing per se. But our modern CAD CAM and software, the likes of what, MathWorks does with MATLAB and Simulink, they are very, very advanced today. They are able to predict, the impact of crash situations, multiple crash situations, without having to physically test them. Of course, we've got the likes of ADAC, ADAC in Germany, which actually tested the Mahindra XUV 700 2 days very recently, who also, physically certify and rate vehicles. So today's software are very, very advanced, which can actually predict, fatality as well, right? They can actually predict the injuries on the human and the occupants within the vehicle. So I think we don't need to rely on, clay modeling and physical testing as much as we had to do earlier, because the CAD CAM and other software are very, very advanced today.
Excellent. Kaushik, we'll bring an end to this quick session here. Thank you so much. And I hope our readers our delegates have got enough insights on the studies that we have done. And yeah, thank you very much.